I think that is very important. I think that's something we see in society. It's just human kindness and empathy for one another. If somebody falls down, yeah, you maybe knocked them down, and it maybe was we hope it was an accident if that happens, but help them up, If somebody makes a good shot or a good play, whether they're on your team or not, that's pretty cool to watch. It's not so fun when it's against you, but at the same time, hey, good job, man. It's if people take a concerted effort, and that's the way we start teaching our children when they're younger, to just be like, hey, would you want somebody to tell you a good shot? Would you want somebody to taunt you? If we kind of remember that golden rule, treat others how you want to be treated, and we emphasize that through sports, I think we're all going to be a lot better off.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us for another episode of At Home with Emily, a podcast about creating a life you love. I'm your host, Emily Wood, and today we have with us Jill Simmons from the Springfield-Greene County Park Board. And Jill sees hundreds and hundreds of little athletes come through every year. Many of them might be their first time doing sports, and some of them, the coaches and their families, you see every year. And they do all the sports. Yep. I think my family might be one of those, guilty. We coach a lot of things because it's really important to us, the coach influence on the kids, and it's a privilege to be able to do that. But the culture around youth sports is kind of what we've been talking about. And what is the impact for our kids? Because there's a lot of positive things that we want from youth sports, right?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, youth sports provides all these opportunities for kids to learn how to have structure and set goals and achieve them, and have some resilience and teamwork and all these great things that are life lessons we can take everywhere.
Like losing.
Losing
That's
gracefully
a big one too.
Is really important.
Yes.
Not just losing, but how to do so gracefully. How to win
gracefully on the other side.
Right? Celebrating is good. Celebrating in somebody's face, not good. So,
Yeah, so all types of lessons, nothing like sports to teach you about life.
It's great. Plus, you have a good time doing it. It's not like, you're being forced to sit there and learn a lesson. You're playing. Learning through play is, there's a lot of research out there, whether it's sports or any kind of play. That's the best way for kids to learn.
Well, and having fun.
Absolutely.
You said learning through play. In some ways, it has become really important to win. I don't know if that's a new phenomenon here in the last few years, but we do know that kids are leaving sports more than ever before.
Kids are leaving sports. The average age that kids start leaving sports, and that's not just leaving a specific sport, it's completely leaving sports. We're starting to see it creep down into the 11-year-olds nationwide. That's not just a local trend. And in fact, I think we're doing a lot locally to buck that trend, but you do see it. There's pressure to win, whether it's their exposure to professional sports because of social media and all the, you can see sports 24/7 on your TV, depending on if you stream or have cable, or if it's the pressure for parents to win. I think a lot of parents in youth sports think, oh, this is great. This is how, my kid's going to go to college. They're going to get a scholarship. That's a very small percentage, and it's not youth athletes that are being recruited anyway. So.
No, well, and when you look at that, I was kind of curious. It's less than 0.5% of high school athletes go on beyond that.
That's correct, and that's all levels of collegiate play, and it's a great avenue, but it's not. It shouldn't be the end game with youth sports. It's really more about exposure to lifelong activities and having fun, and again, it goes back to just having a good time and learning through play. And some kids are going to develop that affinity for a sport naturally, and they can go on and play in college or even professional. It's just that shouldn't be the end game.
Yeah. Well, when you're told that your child has ability, speaking as a parent, my boys are 6 and 9, and when you have a coach tell you your child is just really got a natural ability for this, you're like, what? My child has a natural ability? My child's gifted? My child's going pro. We're going pro.
Right. Well, that's
the thoughts that you go through as a parent are pretty quick.
Sure. It's a big jump from that. I have a kiddo too, and I remember the first sport that she really got engaged in was tennis. Not a sport that I had a background in.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing. I was like, wow, she's pretty good at this.
Yeah,
and
we're going places.
I get it. But at the same time, it's their journey. We all had our chance to play youth sports, and we did with them whatever we did with them.
Right.
And this is theirs. And it really should be it's great that they have talent and ability, but For example, my kiddo didn't love tennis. She's a cheer kid now, and
okay.
yeah, it's great. I love watching her do that too. It's a little scary, kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
But it's really important to let them find the things that they want to do and find joy. It's a great stress outlet. And in today's society, the kids are on screens all the time. They're seeing all these, and it doesn't matter what social media, and it does, even if you as a parent limit your kids' exposure to social media, if they're in schools, they're still seeing it through their friends. And what they don't realize when they're young is that is a perfected image. It's edited, and there's multiple takes and all this sort of thing. And that drive and that pressure to be perfect and, oh, I'm going to be pro and let's post all my videos. And I think that does contribute. It can be a really fun way to keep up and share some of my family lives halfway across the country. It's a great way for them to see something my kiddo's doing. So I love that. But we just kind of have to remember
seeing
why
the effects
we're
from
here.
that. I mean, that's in the research, the screens. So when we look at when we were kids, you know, I mean, I can count on one hand the number of things that I got signed up for and did. And
Right.
It all seemed pretty low key looking back. Has that culture changed a lot?
Dramatically.
I mean, just night and day, isn't
Dramatically. Yeah, I'm from this area, and when I was a kiddo, youth sports weren't run by park boards. You didn't have a lot of YMCA sports. It was church leagues or
Families,
Kiwanis,
small
Lions
towns.
Club, stuff like that. And you played one sport a season, and it was whatever that season was. If it was indoor, you might have basketball. If it was outdoor, you might have, softball or baseball or something like that. But it wasn't, I mean, you can play sports, almost any sport, year-round in this community. And I think that's a wonderful thing, too, for the kids that have that aptitude and that desire. But you also have to, I mean, kids are overscheduled in general. There's so much opportunity, which is amazing. But I think balance is important.
Yeah. So when we're looking at the family's role when it comes to youth sports, I have seen my kids at various levels. Everything they do is pretty much rec. But you do see a range of adults at the events. And even for me as a mom, I mean, I can get very amped up internally if I feel like my child was mistreated or why didn't they call that foul? He had his big chance at that layup, or whatever the case is.
Right.
The parents get pretty worked up.
Parents do get worked up. I mean, it's a cultural issue. We have amazing parents that we see. We have parents that are just like, hey, good job, and that sort of stuff, which we love because
the best thing to support your child is to go up and watch quietly.
Yes.
Be there quietly.
Yep.
Very hard to do.
It is very hard to do. I'm the same way. I'll get the stink eye every once in a while if I, like, woohoo, or something. Mine's like very reserved, but we do see all kinds. And some of that is, we are proud of our children. And it is really exciting and fun to watch them excel at anything. And if you see them smiling when they're doing something and having a great time, of course you're going to get into that. But it's just remembering you're there to support. And supporting isn't just supporting your kiddo, it's also supporting those coaches because they're helping your kiddo. Sometimes that's challenging if you think, well, why isn't my child playing, or why are they playing less, or I don't like the position they're in, or a variety of things that as a parent you may be like, I think that should be different. It's supporting the officials, also human beings. And they are varying levels as well. I mean, in the park board, we don't offer cradle to grave exactly for sports, but pretty close to cradle because we have things that start at 3 and we go all the way up through adults, and we have super entry level things and we have highly competitive elite level things, and we try to have something for everybody. So we see all those parents all the time, every day in various facilities. And the one thing that's constant, and the one thing that I see with those kids that do end up developing a deep love of sports, regardless of their capabilities. But if kids really do have an aptitude, a talent, and they do want to pursue it, and they have that ability, the kids that tend to make it are the kids that have those parents that aren't like, well, your coach should have done this, or why didn't you do that? They're the ones doing a great job. Did you have a good time? Did you do the best that you could do today? Did you work to be better than you did yesterday? Basic life skills. Those, the kiddos that have those support systems, they are the ones that tend to fare better if you're looking at longevity. And if you're not, they just have better mental health, I think. They're not feeling that, oh my gosh, my parents aren't going to be proud of me, or heaven forbid, they would think, well, my parents aren't going to love me if I don't win this game.
I've read that sometimes it's the car ride home that causes kids to quit sports.
Absolutely.
Because they start to dread it. I have even seen little children. My youngest is 6. I've seen kids out on the court with him wanting their parents' approval. No matter what they do, right or wrong, they immediately look.
They're looking,
And it kind of breaks your heart. I mean, you want them to have that closeness with their parents, but you don't want the child to feel that that's how they're loved.
Sure. No, absolutely. I mean, different kiddos are going to need more reassurance or less reassurance. And but yeah, you do see that sometimes. Sometimes you can almost see a fear in some kids because it's like, oh, no, I missed that shot, or oh, that was out of bounds, or whatever. Our elite level coaches that work with our elite athletes, even with those kids, their mental resilience is one of the things that we work on a lot with them. And we have whole education flyers for parents about how to be, how to act. And the car ride home, that's one of the things that we actually really emphasize. I'm glad you brought that up. That's one of the things every one of those coaches will talk about. When you get in the car, if you want to say good job or something, okay. But it's really like, hey, where do you want to go eat? Or, after the game, we're going to go get ice cream, regardless of the outcome, So that is a way that can, just be regular. They've come off of this big high.
Take your blood pressure meds before you get there.
Right. They've come off this high where they've had a really great experience, or maybe it was a rough day and they had a really rough experience. And they just need their parents to support them, and maybe they don't need to talk about it. Maybe they just want to sit with it.
Forget how little they are too, Jill,
Right.
I mean, it's amazing what kids can do in athletics now.
Oh, gosh, yes.
And we forget that we're talking about first graders. And by the way, if your team just won by a ton of points, there's some kids on the other side probably crying.
Absolutely.
So to me, it's also about being a good friend to the other team and teaching your kids that too.
I think that is very important. I think that's something we see in society. It's just human kindness and empathy for one another. If somebody falls down, you maybe knocked them down, and we hope it was an accident if that happens, but help them up, If somebody makes a good shot or a good play, whether they're on your team or not, that's pretty cool to watch. It's not so fun when it's against you, but at the same time, hey, good job, man. It's if people take a concerted effort, and that's the way we start teaching our children when they're younger, to just be like, hey, would you want somebody to tell you a good shot? Would you want somebody to taunt you? If we kind of remember that golden rule, treat others how you want to be treated, and we emphasize that through sports, I think we're all going to be a lot better off. But
and I think too, it's okay to strive for excellence, but the pressure that we are putting on ourselves and our kids, it's palpable for them, and that's one of the researched reasons that kids are leaving sports.
It is, and I think there's a lot more communication about sports can be very expensive, especially the more you continue to play them, if you get involved with club sports, and that gets very expensive. Children don't really need to know that or feel that pressure, like, well, mom and dad spent all this money, or there are children that I know are like, well, every time I go to practice, my mom and dad have to work 4 hours for that. We need to let them be children. We're making the choices. If we are spending that kind of money, we're making the choices to do that.
Good point.
They're just wanting to play.
Yeah. And you don't need to take a second mortgage out to let them play. You may not be able to do that next team, and that's okay, right?
You don't. I mean, I will use myself as an example. I played volleyball. I was a college athlete. I was a college coach for a while. I didn't start playing I didn't even touch a volleyball until I was in like 6th grade. And club sports weren't the level that they are now in this community, particularly in volleyball. So I didn't even start playing club sports until I was entering high school. Good athletes are good athletes, and they're going to find their way, and you can burn children out. You can put too much pressure on them. And I've seen it as a coach at the college level. Kids that tend to start playing year-round in a single sport at a young age, even if they're really good and have the talent, a lot of them don't even make it to that point because of exactly what you said. They're burnt out. They've already felt like I've been treated like a professional, and they're exhausted, and they don't want it. They don't want the pressure because the pressure is really there. It should be about having a good time.
Fun.
Yes.
Go back to that point. And thankfully, we have a very active park board, not just our community here in Springfield, but Nixon, Ozark, and there's several
Absolutely.
Republic, all different ones all around where we do have a lot of opportunity.
We do.
And so how can kids and families get involved? And the other thing I want to point out is it's pretty affordable.
Right.
All the coaches are volunteers. You're not paying coaches here, but they still get training. So how do families get involved? Sure.
If whatever your local community is here, of course, you can go to parkboard.org, and there's a wealth of information. If you click on youth sports, you're going to see, if there's a sport your kiddo likes to play, there's a good chance we have it. Same thing for the surrounding communities. If you live in Republic or Ozark or Willard, they all have social media. They all have websites. Most places now have some sort of a rec center or something that you could walk in and ask questions. Some of our smaller communities around, like Rogersville and some of that, they don't have those yet, but they still have those sports leagues. So they all have some presence on the internet.
But it's a place where they can learn basic skills.
100%.
Because it does feel like exactly what you said. By the time they're getting to 9, 10, 11, if they haven't gotten into a sport, then how are they going to make it? That's how it feels as a parent. And I'm not sure exactly where that comes from, but it's not true.
It's not true. And there are, a lot of college coaches out there. There are a lot of professional sport leagues. The NFL plays 60 and street hockey and all these programs, they're all trying to combat that exact thing because they're wanting kids to play and have a good time. Kids will find a way. It's just like if they're good at school, they're good at school. Can they work hard and be better? Yes. Of course you can. If you practice anything, you're going to be better. But if you don't love it and you're being pushed to do it, your ability to perform is just going to be diminished, and you're not going to want to do it. You're going to shy away from it and say, I've got to get out of that. And again, there's so many great things that come from sports. You don't want to see kids stopping to do that. Our health rates are declining. We see it everywhere. And a lot of the sports we offer, they're lifelong. So just get out there and see what there is. There's everything. Even the smaller communities they'll offer 5 and 6 sports apiece. So there's a lot of different opportunity too.
Thank you, Jill.
Yeah,
Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining us today for At Home with Emily. If you are watching us on YouTube, please be sure to like and subscribe so you're notified when our next episode drops. We have a new one coming your way every Wednesday. You can also follow Around the Ozarks on Instagram and Facebook, and head to aroundtheozarks.com to sign up for our daily newsletter. We'll see you next time.